You or Jayla?
They want to know.
Hey. 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 I want to be famous.
Welcome to Who Weekly, the podcast where you'll learn everything you need to know about the celebrities you don't. I'm Bobby Finger.
I'm Lindsay Weber.
And I'm no longer on vacation, so the microphone should sound better. I'm not in a car.
Congratulations to you. They didn't sound that bad, to be honest. I don't know, like
okay?
what. I don't know the sticklers of
sounded okay?
our listeners, but if they've listened this entire time, that it really sounded, the
That's
norm.
So good to hear. I wanted to tell a story that you told me to tell before I forget to tell it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't even told you. I just tweeted about it.
Yeah.
Because it was so
You kind of wasted that
bizarre.
story in a tweet. No offense.
It was so bizarre. Josh and I were staying at this hotel in Seattle, and we were leaving the hotel. It's this old hotel. I'd never heard of it. We got it on Hotel Tonight. This is not an ad. But apparently, when we told, it could be.
I mean, I'm not saying to the listener it could be.
Oh, yeah.
We're tricking you. Like, hello, Hotel Tonight. It could be an ad.
But it's one of those things where we talked, where his uncle was like, "Oh, where are you staying?" And we're like, "Oh, this place, like Hotel Sorrento," and he was like, "Oh, that's an old hotel. That's a cool hotel. It's like been there forever." We didn't know. It was just cheap on Hotel Tonight. We tell his dad we're at Hotel Sorrento. Oh, that's such a cool that restaurant is like famous. That's in the basement of that hotel. Whatever. So this history has been said to us multiple times. We're exiting this hotel, and there is a car, and someone's getting out of it, and he's just like kind of standing and stretching, and he just got out of the car. And I like stopped and looked at him because I thought he was wearing like very, very comfortable looking clothes. He had on a very nice oversized sweater, like flowy, like billowy pants. They looked like they were linen, but honestly, who knows? They were some sort of blend, maybe a linen blend. And then he had on these sandals. And that was actually the first thing I saw, the sandals. They were sort of slides. I don't think they had heels. They were just slides. And they were like a knit slide. And I thought, ooh, I would love a pair of sandals like that. And then I looked up and realized it was Jeff Bridges. And then we walked by, and we just walked by him. Josh and his dad didn't notice anything. We got to the sidewalk, and I was making a face, and Josh was like, "What's happening? What are you looking at? What is this?" And I was just like, "Look back there." And then Josh looked, and then he like stared for a few seconds, like many seconds. Stop it. The cats are fighting. Stop it. Not during the story. Not during my story.
They're really disrespectful of you. In this
Not
story.
during my story. So Josh looks at them, and he's like, he takes a second, and then he turned back, and his eyes were like bulging, and he was like, "Oh my God, is that Jeff Bridges?" And I was like, "Yeah." And his dad is like, "Jeff Bridges? That's Jeff Bridges?" And he was like, "People tell me I look like Jeff Bridges. I could be his doppelganger. Should I go tell him that?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And he like went up to him, and I thought he was going to say something, but he didn't. He just like got very close and started gawking. And then he came back, and he was like, "Should I ask for a picture?" And we were like, "I mean, like, I'm not going to tell him what to do," but he didn't.
My parents.
It was just funny because it was like the one celebrity, one of a handful of celebrities that his dad would have been interested in seeing, and he just happened to be right there. Jeff
It
Bridges.
like was a total crowd pleaser for the people you were
everyone
with, as
loved
opposed
it.
to if you've seen like Michelle Williams, the other one.
The other one.
You've
Honestly,
been like,
I don't
"That's
know.
Michelle Williams."
Even when you're saying the other one, I don't know which one you're referring
Well,
to.
you're like, "That's Michelle Williams," and then Josh and Zed are like, "Which one?" And or like, "Who?" And you're like, "The one of like Michelle Williams. Which one? Which one do you want it to be?"
It's really funny that even the other Michelle Williams, neither of them is really all that far apart in terms of like level of celebrity. Really, like when you think about it. So
No.
it's like the other one could be anyone.
What do you mean? They are very far apart in terms of celebrity.
For this podcast purposes, I think no. I think for this podcast purposes specifically, it's confusing when you say the other one.
Oh, I mean, for this podcast, we could be bringing up either with ease.
Yes, that's what I mean.
But if you said Michelle Williams to someone, depending on the context, it would most likely be the blonde one.
The blonde one, yes. The former girlfriend of Heath Ledger, yes.
Yikes. Do not. How dare you categorize her?
The star of Fosse Verdon.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Have you seen the clip where
No.
she
But go on. Fosse Verdon was one of those shows. Every time someone will be like, "It's actually really good," I was like, "I don't care what you tell me about Fosse Verdon. I will
know.
never watch Fosse Verdon."
I watched one episode and I was like, oh. And I never watched it again. But like
People
it was
kept being
exactly...
like, "The set design's really good." It's like, that's what you want me to watch Fosse Verdon for? The set design? I saw some tweet that was like, everything in every set is like meticulously chosen, and I was like, I don't care. What is this show? Who is Verdon?
You can't stop. That's Michelle Williams.
I know, but I barely knew who Fosse was.
Well, you would know
let
if you
alone
watched the
Verdon.
show, but I guess you're not going to watch it, so you'll never know.
That's fine. Anyway, go on. What is this clip?
Oh, no, it's not even worth discussing if you haven't seen it.
Is it Michelle Williams getting frazzled over something? Because I feel like that's a pretty common
but
Michelle
it's like
Williams.
Michelle Williams receiving a slap as Vernon, and it's like a very dramatic, like it's just, it's great. It's whatever. Look it up. Look it up.
Fosse Verdon slap.
Don't look it up now. I meant like in
Tempers
general.
are flaring. It just says tempers are flaring.
Do you know?
I could have
did you
said
find it?
no when Hal wanted you for damn Yankees.
I'm sorry,
And
this
I could have
is
said
what
no
Michelle
when he
Williams is doing in
wanted to
Fosse
direct
Verdon?
Yeah, she's
Red
doing
Hair.
her
I
Marilyn
could
Monroe
have let
thing, but
you
like
stay
up times a million.
Failed, bald dancer. A wannabe Fred Astaire. But I picked you up on my back.
Wait, is this the clip,
And I
or are
can't-
you just watching
This
the
is
clip?
not. There's no slap. Speaking of slap, I'd rather watch the slap than Fosse Verdon.
Oh, the slap ruled. That's not even like
I love
that's
the
not even
slap.
like a thing to say. It's like I would watch the slap over many TV shows.
Michelle Williams is doing that thing where her neck muscles are tense the entire time she's delivering a line.
Well, she's also doing like that accent of like old timey,
that
but it's
mid-Atlantic
just,
thing.
upsetting. Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Wait, speaking of Fosse Verdon, are you gonna watch? Are you gonna watch Reese Witherspoon as Judy Garland? Because you know it's gonna be like the same performance.
Renee Zellweger.
That's what I meant.
Yes, I am. Though, yes, I am.
Would I say Reese Witherspoon?
You
Oh,
said
that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Liza Minnelli would firebomb the set if Reese Witherspoon were Judy Garland.
No, it's Renee Zellweger as Judy Garland. The trailers make it look like it could be really, really good, or like it should be airing on Lifetime. It does. You can't tell. It's like the thinnest line.
I feel like it's gonna be airing on Lifetime.
Yikes. Okay. Let's see.
But will Renee win an Oscar? Maybe. I don't think it matters. That doesn't matter in that situation.
It might not.
you know?
Might not. We forget Michelle Williams' very subtle performance as Marilyn Monroe.
That got an Oscar nomination.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Very subtle. Although, how can you really do a Marilyn Monroe?
She didn't do it
That's
subtly.
subtle.
That was what was so. She like did whatever. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. You can't really do a subtle Marilyn Monroe, so it's really not her fault, I guess.
no, you can't do a subtle Marilyn Monroe, or else you're just
And I guess
not doing anything.
as far as I know, you can't do a subtle Verdon. So
apparently she's pulling from the same origin.
this is Who's There, the weekly call-in show where we answer your questions, comments, concerns. You call 619-WHO-THEM. You leave messages. We listen to all of them. It's taking so long these days. Oh my God, there are so many calls. But then we play some of them.
Listen to all of them.
Yeah, we
And
play.
boy, are there some calls this
my
week.
goodness. Here's one. Here we go.
Hey, Lindsay and Bobby, medium time. So I just listened to the episode where you guys were talking about yesterday, and apparently, because you said something about the filmmakers, like obviously being big Ed Sheeran fans, but apparently they actually wanted Chris Martin from Coldplay. Like Danny Boyle has said that Ed Sheeran was not their first choice, but Chris Martin didn't want to do it, so they had to move on to Ed Sheeran, which is very funny that he still did it. But yeah, me and Grace, bye.
We specifically said we believe Richard Curtis. That makes sense that Richard Curtis would be a big fan of Ed Sheeran, which it still does. But Chris Martin said no. That's hilarious.
Chris Martin said no. I wonder like what Chris Martin was like, you can use my music. And then they were like, no, we want you to be in the movie and like act. And Chris Martin's like, why would I do that? Smartly. Why would he do that? Why would anyone do that?
Apparently, Ed knew. I was reading this story about it, and Ed knew that they had asked Chris Martin first, and he said no. And so when Richard Curtis asked Ed, he was like, you'd be so good for this. You're our first choice. We can't think of anyone else. And Ed Sheeran says, wait, but you already asked Chris Martin. He tried to lie and it didn't work. So that's fun. I guess Ed Sheeran is fine.
But then Ed Sheeran was like, whatever, I don't give a shit. I'll do it. Like, I don't care.
You'll pay me how much? I'll get how much screen time?
But it does make more sense that like Chris Martin would be like the number one. Like Coldplay would be the number one.
Yes.
Because they are.
And that is a line in the movie. It's in the trailer, I think, where she's like, he sings Yesterday for the first time. And they're like, oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Is that a Coldplay song?
And he's like, how do you not know who Paul McCartney is? He's the greatest songwriter of all time. And then the woman goes, what are you talking about? It's not Coldplay. It doesn't fix you.
No, they do not say fix you.
Yeah, but I as a joke, but I
love
guess
Fix You.
whatever. No, it's great. Come on, Newsroom.
Fix You,
Newsroom.
Probably the most iconic cinematic pop song ever produced.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just Newsroom, but anything. If you when I worked at Vulture, so many things. It's been in every single TV and movie. Like you go to its Wikipedia and it's like the list of things it's been in is psychotic. We used to have this joke at Vulture when I worked there, which you would get Fix You rolled, which is like Rick rolled. It used to be. Remember when Rick rolled was cool?
I love Rick
Just
rolls.
give me a second. But you would get Fix You rolled, where you would find ways to send each other the link to Fix You. So it'd be like, oh hey, like can you actually post this thing pretty quickly? And then you'd like link somebody a link that looked like something else, but it would be to Fix You. And this went on for like years. It's very funny actually at the time. I don't know if anyone else is finding it funny.
The OC, Without a Trace, Cold Case, Brothers and Sisters, World Trade Center, Yumi and Dupree, Scrubs, The Newsroom, Cold Case, Pact of the Raptors, another episode of Brothers and Sisters.
I'm telling you,
Never mind the Buzzcocks.
Fix You might have been like the number one song used in TV for that year. I mean, I cannot think of another song.
In the movie Yesterday, a character says the Beatles song Yesterday isn't quite as good as Coldplay's Fix You. What a fun sentence for a Wikipedia.
It's also just, I mean, I haven't seen Yesterday, but I probably will eventually. It's a great line. That's hilarious to me.
Remember, speaking of Fix You rolling, remember when I had New Shoes roll you? Have we ever talked about that on the podcast?
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Pablo Nutini?
When did we do that in our lives? Like before the podcast?
Paolo Nutini. I think 2012 sounds right. 2011.
I put some new shoes on and that's another song that is iconic for its movie usage.
Well, the only movie I can think of it being in is
the opening credits
Jane Austen
for
book club.
Any rom-com?
No, the only opening credits it's in, Lindsay. The Jane Austen book club is so good that you're misremembering.
No, that's
the
gotta
only
be used
opening credits
again.
are the Jane Austen book club.
Hey, I put some new shoes on. But what's the other song that's always used in rom-coms that you love? There is another one. Like, I feel like there are a few songs that when you've mentioned, like, oh, this is just like a song that's used in many, many rom-coms. New Shoes is not it. It's a different song.
The one that's like you got me begging you for mercy. That one?
Duffy.
That's more trailers, though. Mercy. That one?
It's just great when you hear a song and you're like, God, when will this be used in its first, like, trailer? And it's a young woman looking for love. And it's like, you got me begging you for mercy.
I finally watched the trailer for that fucking movie. Leslie runs a marathon.
What?
Brittany runs a marathon. Have you seen this?
I never saw
With
it.
Jillian Bell. That's her name?
No, I haven't seen it.
And it's about
a girl
true
running a
story,
marathon?
and she runs a marathon. And she's like, I need to get my life into order. And so she decides that she's going to run a marathon. And it's the New York City Marathon.
Yeah.
And the trailer, and halfway through the trailer, I watched this yesterday. Halfway through the trailer, had I been drinking something, I would have spit it out.
What happened?
The BB Rexa song. Last Hurrah. The one that's like, this is my last hurrah.
No, like the song that's like just came out?
Yes. On the trailer for whatever. Brittany runs a marathon. Brittany runs.
I'm telling you, it's just...
You know what they should have used for Brittany runs a marathon? New shoes.
Hey, I got some new shoes.
Hey. God.
Hey.
I just Googled Paolo Nutini to see what he's up to. And
what's
folks,
he up to?
He is up to something.
What is it?
He performed at the Transmit Festival in
that's a big one.
In Glasgow.
Oh.
Like last week or a couple days ago. He donated £10,000 to a mental health charity.
Oh my God.
Blah, blah, blah. But he walked on stage wearing a Chewbacca mask.
Okay.
and it's Louis Capaldi's Chewbacca mask. It was bought by Paolo Nutini, and he
Sure.
bought the mask as a charitable thing. It was like an auction. So he has
Amazing.
this huge. So it's Paolo Nutini, and he's got a new mask on.
Incredible.
Hey.
Louis Capaldi is someone else who people call about a lot, but we never talk about.
We never
Maybe
talk
one
about
day.
him.
Maybe one day.
The Brat and LisaRaye are biological sisters. Crunch, crunch. Bye.
Oops. No, I mean, I was very close to having this information, but just didn't quite get to the right, like, clicky click. Like, I didn't, like, get there. You know, sometimes when you're like...
Didn't get to
just
the
right
right clicky click.
we didn't get, like, there enough for me to see it. But yeah, they share a father who actually has, like, a crazy kind of dark story around him in which he was murdered by his ex-girlfriend.
What?
You didn't know this because you didn't even know they were
No.
related. Yeah, so LisaRaye and the Brat are sisters, which is funny because I was kind of like, they asked Brat about LisaRaye because they're friends. It's like, no, they're fucking sisters. Like, that's why they asked them about. I don't know why.
Oh
like,
my
whatever.
God.
So their father, David McCoy, was like, he lived in Chicago. He's a Chicago businessman, and he owned like a bunch of hotels and nightclubs and whatever, and he lent a lot of money out for people who want to start their businesses, like kind of a thing. And he was murdered in 1988 by his girlfriend and her brother, which
Oh
is
my
so
God.
upsetting. So, where is it? His 32-year-old live-in girlfriend of 10 years, Sheila, and then her 20-year-old brother, Tyrone, were convicted of McCoy's murder in 1990. And so she's in jail. He got an 80-year sentence, and he got a 60-year sentence. And the motives were they found out he was going to cut her out of his will. That's like obviously just a report, but that's supposedly
There's
what
gonna be
happened.
plenty of that in this episode. Oh my God, that's awful.
I know.
I
So
did not know
whatever.
that.
Just very interesting. So there's like not even a little bit to that story. There's way more to that story of them being sisters.
Next call.
Hi, first time, long time. I'm calling from Australia, and I do not have an Australian accent because I am from the U.S., like Terry Irwin, Bindi Irwin's mom. She is from Oregon, and in the 90s went to Australia and met Steve Irwin. Bindi is a U.S. citizen as well, and hence why she was on the U.S. Dancing with the Stars. And the Irwin family is a much bigger deal in the U.S. than they are in Australia. So they're like Australian royalty for U.S. people, but the Australians they don't really find them a big deal as we do in America. I should know that because I find that when I went to the zoo, it wasn't very exciting for many Australians, but there's tons of American tourists. So Bindi Irwin is also a U.S. citizen, and her accent does not sound, or her mom's accent does not sound like an Australian accent, which Bobby tried to do but did not do very well. All right, thanks. Crunch, crunch. Bye.
So many people called in and were like, Bobby, love your Australian accent, but actually you did not need to do it that time because Terry Irwin is not Australian.
Wow,
which
so
I
many
love
people.
because
So many people love my Australian accent. Wow.
yeah, it's so funny how people called in like, please, Bobby, stop doing the Australian accent. You do not need to be doing that. So I found that very inspiring. Also, I found it really sweet that they met the same way that that the younger Irwin met her wakeboarder husband.
Yeah, it's nice. It's poetry.
It's poetry. And also that bit, I heard that a few times in calls that they're not as famous in Australia is so news to me. You guys don't appreciate your queen of animals, Bindi Irwin?
I thought for certain that she was, practically Meghan Markle over there.
Yeah. We were
But
not
it's just
joking
us.
about that.
It's just because of people. It's all because of people. People.com.
Yeah.
They've convinced us. They brainwashed us. Or
It's
me
crazy.
and you.
Like, we think that Bindi Irwin is over in Australia just, like, fucking running the parade every day. I don't know what the parade is. I just assume there's a parade. Also, somebody did get mad at me when they called and they were like, how dare you say that Australia is paradise? I'm, like, in my car on the way to work. I was like, I'm sorry. Let me have my fantasies. I'll never get to Australia.
Hi, Who Weekly, medium time. I had to pause the episode because you were talking about the likely plea deal of Lori Loughlin. I am a prosecutor, and I prosecute white-collar crimes. Not these. I'm not the prosecutor on this case. But what probably happened is one of two things. Number one, she hated her initial plea deal. Maybe they were offering her, double the jail time of Felicity Huffman, and she didn't think that was fair, even though, her culpability seems like it might have been a little more. So she had her lawyers go in there and negotiate down, or maybe they filed some motions and lost those motions. And, that didn't go her way, so now she's looking to plead. Or like you said, she might have just had the fear of God put in her. She might have thought that, all of these celebrities were going to put up a united front, and now suddenly all of these dominoes are falling and everybody's pleading. So maybe she's like, well, you know what? If Felicity Huffman's going to jail, I'm going to jail. She has William H. Macy. I don't even have Jesse Katsopoulos anymore. So, just my thoughts on the issue. It could be something entirely different, but in my experience in a multi-defendant case like this, it usually has something to do with, the bulk of the other defendants pleading and, the one standout, we were going to do this together, right, guys? Right? Oh, we're not? Okay. And it's a little different here because, lots of that Hallmark movie money, but just a thought. As to why she still lives in that attic, despite having 90s TV host money, I can't speak to. That has never made sense to me. It didn't make sense to me when I was 8 years old and watching Full House. All right. Thanks. Good for him, Bella Thorne.
I love a lawyer has to address every issue. Such a lawyer thing.
I love when a lawyer says multi-defendant case. I feel like I just put on a suit and went, Your Honor, this multi-defendant case, and then nothing
You just
else.
learned a new word to use when you pretend like you're a lawyer. Thank you so much. That's amazing. It proves that Bobby and I are lawyers because we kind of knew what was going on. I love the idea that Lori was like, all of the everyone else is going to say not guilty, right? We're all not guilty. This isn't a crime. And everyone's like, it's a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. We knew it was a crime when we did it. We knew it was a crime.
Felicity's in the middle of signing a piece of paper that just says it was a crime.
Felicity calls Lori on a super protected line. Maybe it's 2 walkie-talkies that are then burned after use or something. And it's Felicity's like, Lori, honey, it's a crime. And Lori's like, what?
She hangs up the phone and it goes, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
You're trying to do that music again that I couldn't find.
I'm going to add it today.
I couldn't find it. So best of luck.
Hi, Lindsay and Bobby. I need to know who this, gay country singer is who's always wearing a mask with, a fringy veil. So, yes, any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
What are you laughing at?
No, I laughed so hard when I first heard this call that I had no idea who Orville Peck was, but I laughed so hard at the call that I immediately downloaded it and put it into the folder because I was like, we're going to talk about this person just because of he wears a mask with a fringy veil. And then I Googled him and all it is photos of him wearing masks with fringy veils.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
I also had heard of him in my peripherals, maybe, but never actually listened. And then I thank you for this call because I really like it.
And you know what I gotta say? I like it too. I didn't listen to him before. It must have been very noisy. Signals were getting crossed because I heard of this guy, but I think something got messed up to the point where I just thought he was on The Masked Singer or something. I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think that he was someone serious. I guess.
Maybe thought it was a gimmick of a different singer who was doing a Diplo
Chris Gaines
impression. Yeah, or not really a country singer. I guess if you were oh, this guy's doing a country thing, I'd be I want to listen to real country, which is insane. But I would steer away from this unless somebody sat me down and was you would love this gay masked country singer. And it's duh, I would love a gay masked country singer.
So he is, we don't know his real name, but he goes by Orville Peck. That is not his real name. He was profiled by a lot of people early summer, late spring, May, June. And he has a few songs. Now there's we've reached the point where it's
who's the butter? His name just keeps reminding me of the butter guy who named Orville.
Well, he's a popcorn guy.
He's popcorn guy. I just love that his name is a mix of tropes. It's like Orville, which sounds like vaguely country, and then Peck, like Gregory
Peck,
like
very Hollywood.
Very Hollywood
Old,
glamour.
like early, like mid-century.
In the comments of his film, I mean, I noticed this immediately, but I said this to Bobby, but somebody wrote in the comments that he is the male reaction back to Lana Del Rey's music, and that is like so spot on.
Absolutely.
He is Lana. He's Lana. He's got an Elvis tone. I think he would say his influences are like George Strait, like old, like glamorous, deep-throated.
I think he would say, wow, a slur.
Like low, slow country, you know?
He mentions Willie Nelson in this quote, but I think there's something to like the Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, sort of thing to
Merle
it.
Haggard. No, totally Merle Haggard. Yes.
I'm going to play some music here just so you can figure it out. So now that we've listened to some of the music, I just think, even music aside, you can get that he's talented. That's cool. I just love the sort of pop branding that he's doing, because he immediately has a very well-defined and unique aesthetic. Like, everything is so well designed, which is also very Lana. And the gimmick is fun. How often do country stars have gimmicks?
I mean, kind of often. I feel like country stars have
No,
gimmicks.
but like in terms of like Gaga costuming gimmicks.
Well, it's weird. It's like he's like Joanne, but all the time. And that's kind of what I think is throwing me off about him. Not in a bad way, but just in like a... this is not a gimmick. This is actually like the kind of music that he makes. But it feels like when Cher comes out in a cowboy costume, just because it is glamorous, it is kind of flashy, it is gay. It's
explicitly gay. Yeah.
Right. And that's what kind of like makes me quickly be like, what? But it's not. But that is my own like bias. That's our own like history with this. So like,
I love this. I mean, that's how I interpreted it. The quote that you put in here that is extremely Maren Morris shade, where he says, "For me, I think what I find missing in country music today is that it doesn't feel very country anymore. It just feels like people singing pop music with a Texan accent."
Which is Joanne.
Which is Maren Morris.
And he kind of he's going off of Casey Musgraves, by the way. He basically says that he loves Casey, but then he
fully country though. Compared to Maren, Casey is like
compared to Maren,
Dolly Parton.
Newer Casey kind of strays into different vibes. If anything, she strays into like alt country. You know, like she's kind of going like more like rock almost. But he does, he's kind of just like what I'm trying to do is like actually have songs that sound like country music. You know, and also the other thing when he talks is it's very clear that he's extremely Canadian.
He's Canadian as hell.
Which I love. You're like, well, you can't hide that. It's like a very whopper of a Canadian accent, you know?
Do you think he'll be in a Old Town Road collaboration?
Oh, I wonder if like, I don't think so, but I wonder if like he is benefiting from that in some way.
I think so. I think music in general is benefiting from Old Town Road.
I agree. There's something about me that thinks like if he got like if unmasked or people knew who he was, it just wouldn't matter and he would continue doing what he's doing with the wig.
I mean,
with the
Lindsay,
mask.
he says, I don't feel like I'm hiding behind a mask at all. It's actually quite the opposite.
Right.
The mask and all of that has allowed me to be a lot more exposed.
That's what I think.
Damn.
I think
Deep.
if you're going to put a mask on yourself, people are going to want to unmask you. If you had no mask on, there's nothing to do. So I think he's setting himself up for, you know, intrigue and excitement, and it is a little bit of a gimmick and whatever, like lean into it.
And mostly his music is really good.
Yeah,
so
that's all that
great.
matters.
Next call.
Hi, who is Damian Hurley? Okay, bye.
Hi.
Oh, my favorite kind of call, the one that could just be Googled. It's the most, we say this all the time, but it's the most complimentary call, I feel.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't really want to Google. I just want you guys to talk about it. Like, if I could, I know I can Google.
It feels so sweet to get a call like that. Who is
nice
this?
Because like I also could Google and I will.
Imagine if you had to Google by phone. Like if this were the old, like if you had to go like call a librarian, you know, where it's like, I need to know.
That's where we're heading.
What's the capital of Montana? I don't have a map. So you call the library and the researcher answers you.
Well, that's what we are. Yeah, that's what we are in the future too. But we would have none of the answers. So we also
when the internet is down. Yeah. When the internet is down, then I don't know, you're gonna
for all of eternity.
Send a letter to Who Weekly.
Oh, that'd be incredible. Like a P.O. box, but it'd be like the new version of P.O. box, which is just like we have to hire somehow. We get a pigeon or something. We do
give a general area, and then we'll be back to the Pony Express. Damian Hurley. Who is Damian Hurley? Quickly, he is Elizabeth Hurley's son. Little less quickly, he's Elizabeth Hurley's son with this guy, Steve Bing. Little less quickly, he's the grandson of a really, 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 really rich person named Peter Bing.
Steve Bing's father.
And Peter Bing is this super rich guy who made his money in medicine. He's like a doctor, and I don't know how he made like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, but he did. He's extremely rich, and Stephen Bing is also extremely rich, who is the father. He is in the news right now because he just won a lawsuit. Damian did. In which he wanted to get a piece of the grandfather's fortune because the grandfather was like, you're not getting any inheritance because you were born out of wedlock, because he was born when Steve Bing and Elizabeth Hurley had a fling back in 2002. But
Steve Bing is his biological father.
Yes. And at the time, I was looking this up, at the time in 2002, the first ever mention of Damien, or one of the first ever mentions of Damien, when they just refer to him as the baby, basically. Elizabeth Hurley gets pregnant, gives birth to Damien, and is like, oh, the father is Steve Bing. Steve Bing is like, absolutely not. You and I were not dating exclusively. I am not the father. I will not pay you child support. And so they had to get a paternity test done, and it was sort of kind of minor celebrity news in the early 2000s. And he ended up losing because it turns out, yes, he is the father. And then I found out, and then in 2002, they wrote this: under Californian law, the baby would be due a substantial portion of Bing's fortune, and Hurley would be entitled to millions of dollars of child support until the boy was at least 18. So even then, everyone was like, this is going to be a problem in 18 years. Turns out it was, but
which is literally this year. The year was
which is this
year. Yeah.
Yes. So another thing I found interesting was that this guy hasn't been involved. He's apparently like some huge player, and he's not a stranger to paternity tests.
Oh, Steve
At the
Bing?
At the bottom of that story, it said in 2002, Bing is also at the center of another paternity case. He is alleged to be the father of Kira Kerkorian, 4, after an affair with her mother, Lisa Bonder. Kirk Kerkorian, an 84-year-old Las Vegas billionaire, is challenging Miss Bonder's claim for $220,000 a month's child maintenance, claiming that Bing is the father. So it was two rich guys being like, no,
so
I'm
Bing
not the father. I'm not the
sued
father.
this other guy for $3.4 billion for invasion of
Yes!
privacy because the other guy's like, why am I paying child support if Steve Bing's the dad?
The billionaire who didn't want to pay child support was stealing DNA out of his stuff. So I guess he hired someone to get DNA out of his dustbin. Yes.
Fuck.
So it got
These
really, really
billionaires
messy.
need something else to do.
They're just like having sex, denying paternity. That's
It's
all
like,
they're
do
doing.
you have sex just so you could deny paternity? Like, is that what the end game is? It can't be.
Is
worth
that your kink? Is your kink denying paternity?
Like, truly, like, does that turn you on? Like, when you have sex, is the point just to get to the court case? You know?
Yeah. I love that he also has a million godfathers, because it just says, you put here, Hurley's godfathers include Hugh Grant, David Beckham, Elton John, and Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
What are the other ones?
No, I don't know. I just love that. And then there's like Wikipedia has 3 different links to different places that show that like the person they've mentioned is a godfather. But like Elizabeth Hurley, like, does she not know you're only supposed to give one godfather? I mean, I guess you could give like more than one, but this is too many godfathers.
Or did she tell all of those celebrities individually and they thought they were the only one? And then as they were speaking in interviews, it would just come out casually. And then the press was like, wait, what?
I mean, the funny thing is to connect Elizabeth Hurley to each one of these actors and think about why they would be the godfather. So it's like she worked with Hugh Grant in film. David Beckham's British, and so is she, I guess. Elton John also. Dennis Leary, they were in a movie together. Like, it's just so strange.
No, she just really loved she loved Rescue Me. She just loves Rescue Me.
The other thing I just thought it was funny about Elizabeth Hurley was that her Instagram name is Elizabeth Hurley 1. Can somebody not get Elizabeth Hurley her name without the 1 at the end? 1. And her bio is mummy, actress, model, farmer, bikini designer. Farmer, bikini designer.
Is there anything else we have to put in this thing? Anything else we want to talk about? about Damian Hurley. He was Prince Hansel von Liechtenstein on the show The Royals, which I never watched, but Elizabeth Hurley starred in as the Queen of England.
The Queen of England. Oh, also, like, we didn't even say, like, he's a model and he's also a thing because they look alike and he's got a very androgynous look purposefully. And so he ends up looking a lot like his mom in many, many ways. And
usually if you Google Damian Hurley, you will get a million articles that are like, Elizabeth Hurley and her look-alike son Damian like share lunch in like some neighborhood in London. Like every story is about how they look alike. It's sort of like Ava Philippi and Reese Witherspoon.
And the other time they were in the news together, which I think we talked about on this show, but I honestly kind of forget, was when she posed with him in an Instagram photo and everyone was like, that's so inappropriate because her like boobies were out. And they were like, her boobs are out like so close to her son. And it's like, what? And people were mad about like that she was like too sexy in a photo with her son. Do you remember that?
Yes, but wasn't it like Happy Easter? Oh no, that was Happy Birthday. Didn't Elizabeth Hurley also post like a really raunchy Easter photo and everyone was like, this woman, how dare she?
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, did we talk about it? Maybe it got cut. Like, I honestly don't remember. Please don't tell us. Don't make me feel old. Like, don't make me feel elderly that I like forget when we talked about this. But she was in photos with her son. Like, there's a photo of her with her son and Joan Collins ? And Elizabeth Hurley is dressed as like a sexy maid. I don't know. Oh, she's in costume. She's in costume.
She's in costume?
People said it's not normal for a 50-year-old woman to dress like that with her son. If you think it is, I'd have a word. And she's like actually in costume. And then there's a photo of her like with her cleavage out. Everybody was like, why would you flaunt your cleavage next to your son? And it's like, all this woman does is flaunt her cleavage. Like, what are you talking about?
She's a bikini salesperson.
Yes.
She's a bikini designer.
Her
of
job
course
is
she's
to
flaunting
flaunt
her
her
entire
cleavage.
Instagram. Not even Elizabeth Hurley Beach. Elizabeth Hurley 1 is mostly bikini photos.
I really have to say I love that Hugh Grant is the godfather and that him and Hugh Grant have like a kind of an uncle-nephew relationship.
Well, because their breakup was such a fucking mess.
I know, it's sweet
because it
that
involved cheating and prostitution and blah blah blah.
Well, Hugh like was rehabilitated. Well, we're talking a lot about rehabilitated men, but Hugh like came around and like kind of tried to figure some things out. It's like nice that they still have a relationship.
Yeah, and
know?
Also Hugh did the thing. Like Hugh set a precedent for just powering through a scandal and like owning it and not making excuses.
Yeah.
Which is not like, wow, good for Hugh. Like, what an incredible guy. He cheated on his girlfriend. Like, oh, wow, I'm so proud of him. But he did do a thing that a lot of celebrities don't like doing, which is just weathering the storm as opposed to making excuses. And he dealt with it. He went on talk shows and everyone gave him shit. And he just laughed along with it. And then, you know what? He made Love Actually and all was well.
And Bobby forgave him for all eternity. He could murder someone and Bobby would still
forgive him. And I was like,
him.
you are my prime minister. Okay.
I'm Jenna Fisher. And I'm Angela Kinsey. We are best friends, and together we have the podcast Office Ladies, where we rewatched every single episode of The Office with insane behind-the-scenes stories, hilarious guests, and lots of laughs. Guess who's sitting next to me? Steve! It is Steve Carell in the studio. Every Wednesday, we'll be sharing even more exclusive stories from The Office and our friendship with brand new guests, and we'll be digging into our mailbag to answer your questions and comments.
So join us for brand new Office Ladies 6.0 episodes every Wednesday.
Plus, on Mondays, we are taking a second drink. You can revisit all the Office Ladies rewatch episodes every Monday with new bonus tidbits before every episode.
Well, we can't wait to see you there. Follow and listen to Office Ladies on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Who's on the cover of the new Lana Del Rey album with Lana Del Rey? Who is that guy?
So when I got this call, I was like, oh yeah, I meant to Google this because I was wondering that too. At first I thought it was
very
Ezra.
niche. Like I wouldn't say normally we would play this here. I would be like, this is something that just we would. Oh, it's a model. Like moving on.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like, who cares? And why would I even look that up? And then I Googled it and I was like, who is on the cover or whatever. Scrolling through, not many places have anything about it. Then finally I click one person who identifies him, and his name, ladies and gentlemen, is Duke Nicholson, as in the grandson of Jack Nicholson. And I was like, okay, well now we have to talk about this.
Lana would. Honestly, Lana fucking would. She's a bitch. She would. I love her.
The amount of like
And
daddy
bring it-
60s cultural references she has in this album. It's called Norman fucking Rockwell. It's in the style of Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
And then she has Jack Nicholson's grandson on the cover. And it's boat life.
Hugest like aesthetic fart. I love it so much. It's just like exploded all over the page because clearly
And
she's
it's
so
a new-
consumed with this that she can't help herself.
And it's sort of a new aesthetic for her, kind of. It's all sort of new, like this pop arty
Well,
stuff is
she's
sort of
been
new
very
for her.
dark Hollywood.
Yes.
This is bright
Now
Hollywood.
now she's bright Hollywood,
You know what I mean?
which began with Lust for Life, but only sort of.
Kind
Because
of.
Lust for Life,
She's
because Lust for Life, she was
evolving.
just like, I'm gonna smile. Remember that was the whole Lust for Life thing. She was like, I'm smiling now.
Yeah.
And in this
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
she's like, oh, I'm camp. I'm fully camp, and I'm
Right.
owning
I'm
it.
on a yacht. I'm talking about wealth, but in like a kind of a laughing way. I mean, I think
Mhm.
she's always been like a Malibu-esque. I mean, I think strains of this have always been around, but now but when she goes full force on imagery, she like goes full force. Cause like, you know, we talked about this before, but like her video with A$AP Rocky where she's like, you know, she's Jackie O,
Jackie,
right? And
yeah.
that's like a tragic Americana story. So this is now like her Warhol period.
And I will also say that it sort of seems like all of her other albums seem very West Coast, but this aesthetic is extremely East Coast. Doesn't it look like
Yeah.
an East Coast like
It's a
body of water?
It's a Vampire Weekend Cape Cod Kwassa
Yeah,
version
yeah.
of what Lana is going for. I mean, we could talk about Lana until fucking cows come home.
Yeah, Lana Del Rey. Her new album is going to be incredible.
But just the like
Did you
Easter egg
notice,
of Jack Nicholson's grandson appearing on your album, like without you even pointing towards it, is just
it's
fucking
so
chef's
funny.
kiss.
It was a great surprise. Did you see the Karen Gans tweet about?
No.
She was like, because the album comes out on August 30th.
Thank
and
God.
she was like, wow, the August 31st Grammys deadline is really
Yeah.
doing a lot of work. I was like, oh, that's smart.
But also,
This'd
it's
be
like
good.
I'm a little mad at her because having a Lana album for the summer is like the goal. So we need to
Right.
like get our Lana album in before it becomes cold, or else it really doesn't work.
But you know
for
what's
me.
better than a summer Lana Del Rey album?
A fall Lana Del Rey
A
album?
late summer Lana Del Rey album.
yeah. Like me driving down Route 6 on Cape Cod, like listening to the new album. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh my God. Because when Lust for Life came out, that's what we were listening to when we were on the Cape that week. And then we listened to, remember we all sat up and listened to A Rush of Blood to the Head in full. Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, I was there.
How could you
but-
forget?
Yeah. Some Shawnee influence, real Shawnee influence.
Duke Nicholson. Duke Nicholson, he is a model. He appears on the cover of albums by some of our favorite stars. He's only been in one movie. He was in Us. I was like, who was he in Us? Danny, Tony. I don't remember a Danny or a Tony in that movie.
Danny/Tony. Who knows? Anyways, who can you give me the family tree of Duke Nicholson?
So the thing about Duke Nicholson, I don't know how super interesting this is, but I guess I didn't realize the many forks in Jack Nicholson's like family tree until
Well, the only
looking
thing I
this
know
up.
about him and his love life is that he was with Angelica Houston for a
For a
million
long
years,
time.
but they did not have kids together or get
Right.
married, did they?
Right. No, they didn't. They never got married. They never had kids. So I kind of always thought of Jack Nicholson as this just childless bachelor. I completely forgot that he had kids. He has five
Same.
of them. And the woman he was with whenever he had the woman who ended up being this person's father was an actress named Sandra Knight. They were married for a few years. They had they had two kids. One of them was Jennifer Nicholson. She was born, I believe, in the mid-60s. She is Duke's mother. This isn't even interesting, is it?
No, it's interesting, and I'm looking a little bit too. What's interesting too is that Duke's actual last name is Norfleet. It's Duke Norfleet. He's going by Duke Nicholson for
the
some
fun.
of it.
For the fun.
For
of it.
the fun of it.
Okay.
Because his father is named Mark Norfleet. He has a brother named Sean Norfleet. And
so
I
he's like,
guess-
no, I'm reclaiming my Nicholson.
Yeah, and Mark Norfleet's kind of like also like kind of like a vague actor. Like everyone's kind of like a vague actor in this family, if you notice. Like the lineage from Jack Nicholson is vague actors, right? No one is.
So
Yeah.
Jack's Jack's daughter, who is Duke's mother, tried to be an actor, but didn't work out. So she was like, I want to go into interior design and fashion design. So after she graduated from graduated from college, she like tried her hand at interior decorating. There was some line in her, like a profile of her that I read where it's like, she completely redecorated Jack Nicholson's house, like in Malibu after she did something. But that may have been the end of it. Then she was like, no, I want to get into fashion. She did fashion for a little bit, then she like stopped and had a family. Then after that was all sort of when she had grown up a little bit more, she got back into fashion. She had a store in Venice for a little bit, as in Venice Beach, not Italy. It has since shut down, but
Okay, now it's boring.
how perfect is it that his name is Duke Nicholson?
I also was like, I kept searching, like, and Anna Sophia Robb kept coming up, but that's because Anna Sophia Robb and Lorraine Nicholson were in a movie together called Soul Surfer. I was like, is she also related to Jack Nicholson? No.
Is Soul Surfer the one about the surfer who had her like foot chopped off?
I think so.
Hand chopped up? Appendage
No, because it
chopped
came
off.
out in 2011. That's not as old of a story, is it? Bethany Hamilton, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. You're right. It's about the Bethany Hamilton.
Yeah, because the poster is the surfboard with the bite in it.
Hey, Lindsay and Bobby, long time. I was just calling because is Maggie Gyllenhaal them with who tendencies? I need to know, just also because Bobby said that's who he'd slide into her DMs, and I just had a funny story about one time on New Year's Eve, we were in Sun Valley, Idaho, and my friends forgot to buy tickets to a New Year's party, so I pretended to be Maggie Gyllenhaal's assistant and said she was flying in, and they comped all 5 of my friends free tickets just because Maggie Gyllenhaal was coming. So please discuss, but that works every time. If you ever need a reservation, just say that Maggie Gyllenhaal is joining, and they'll get excited because maybe Jake will come. But when Maggie doesn't show up, like, she's not that exciting, so they just won't care, and then you get the reservation. Crunch, crunch.
Wait, that is so fucking
I'm obsessed with this call.
genius.
It's incredible.
I'm gonna do that.
I was wondering, the reason I wanted to play it is, Lindsay, can you think of like another celebrity on that specific Maggie Gyllenhaal level that would work? As in, like, I'm here with my client, I'm here for my boss, I'm X's assistant.
How about like Solange? Like, you think Beyonce might show up?
Oh, Solange. No. Solange, people would know. You couldn't. Solange wouldn't surprise you. Solange would make preparations in advance, I think, right?
I don't know. How about are you thinking of celebrities who've like related to or married to famous or people that they would like take a risk letting you in?
Related to, married to, associated with.
How about Oprah's friend Gail?
Oh,
I'm
Gail, because I
King's.
feel like Gail's pretty low key. I feel like Gail wouldn't cause a fuss.
Oh,
Like,
I'm actually with Gail King. Yeah, she might be coming by. But if she doesn't come by, like, it's like, okay, whatever.
oh my God, that's good. Gail King's good, but I think Maggie Gyllenhaal might just be the winner.
I mean, it is the point he makes that if she doesn't come, no one notices or cares is the point. Is
Yes,
the point here? 'Cause
yes,
it's like
that is the point.
And then later on, some PR person's like, "Wasn't Maggie Gyllenhaal supposed to come?" And everyone's like, "What? Whatever."
I didn't see Jake. It's fine. We all got to start doing this Maggie Gyllenhaal move.
No, we
it's
can't
really
because then
good.
they'll be on. We can't all do it. Page 6 is like, a bunch of people have been claiming to be Maggie Gyllenhaal's assistants.
All over the country. We got listeners all over the country. They're all going to do it. We're going to do the Maggie Gyllenhaal move in Des Moines, the Maggie Gyllenhaal move in Austin, the Maggie Gyllenhaal move in Minneapolis.
It's a movement.
The Maggie Gyllenhaal movement.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, who are them?
Maggie Gyllenhaal, who are them? Oh.
Isn't that what this was about? Oh, no, this was a
Yeah.
question. Oh, well, just a
We
question.
could answer it. Maggie Gyllenhaal, who are them?
Them? Who?
I think them.
Them?
I think them mostly because of the
I think this is
name.
a thing where the personal bias is going to really overturn our,
Absolutely a them to me.
Well, sure, but I think even if you recognize that it's you who says it's a them, that you still there's still like a bias. There's still a bias. It's hard to like break away from that. I
Yeah.
do think the last name is a lot, and I do think that because she's married to Sarsgaard, it helps.
And even Sarsgaard. But Sarsgaard, I would say, is lower on the totem pole than Maggie
He is,
Gyllenhaal.
but it still bumps up Maggie.
Combined, their forces are stronger.
Also, name another famous Maggie. That's not Maggie Smith. We don't have a lot of them. I don't know why I don't know why I'm bringing up this. I never bring up this point. But
Name another famous Maggie. 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 That's it. Maggie Smith, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie
That's
for The
it.
Simpsons.
That's true.
Just saying.
Can't forget the classic film, Sherry Baby. I'm kidding. And with that, we are done. Thank you for listening. As always, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Support us on patreon.com/whoweekly.
The Patreons are getting a very special movie bonus track episode. So if you are interested in hearing that, it's going to be for our favorite film, You've Got Mail. So if you're interested in hearing that, go subscribe.
Yeah, go subscribe. And what else? Happy August. What else is there to say?
Nothing
Is there anything
else.
Are there
I
any other?
cannot wait to turn my air conditioner back on. I'm
Ooh,
loving
it's hot
it.
in here.
It's
getting
hot.
hot in here.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey. Hey. I want to be famous.
Hey guys, Ron Lynn calling from the LA Times where I cover earthquakes, and one of my new bosses, Shawnee Hilton, thought I should weigh in on the whole, like, what earthquakes are thems. And I heard the person who was all like, hey, don't forget about the New Madrid fault system in St. Louis around that area, and come on. I mean, the only fault out there that's a them fault is the San Andreas. I was just in South Africa earlier this month, and a person started randomly talking about the San Andreas. And so if people on different continents, if the one fault they can think of is the San Andreas, that's a them fault. I mean, and think about it too. Like, the San Andreas is probably the one that's the most famous around the world. It's close to two major cities, San Francisco and LA, basically destroyed San Francisco in 1906. And that destruction helped fuel the growth of LA. It's a long fault. It's 800 miles. And that's what makes it so dangerous and capable of going in a magnitude 8 event. And it's also getting stressed so much faster than any other California faults that there's decent odds of Southern California getting hit by a big quake in their lifetime. So don't second guess yourself, guys. There's always candidates for a new Who fault, though. Like one of you said, if the Cascadia fault goes off the coast of Washington and Oregon in a magnitude 9 event, the nightmare tsunami will make that a Who fault.